30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It's turned out to be a beautiful Wednesday in Nashville, Tennessee. We've got a lot to talk about. As you can tell, we are at the administrative offices. Wow, I should have put up the picture in the background. I'll do that later. Anyway, administrative offices at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. The first hour is going to be Terry McCormick, This Is Your Life. With that in mind, Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update is brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady, and through the folks at USA Mortgage, that is absolutely possible. Dial her up, 615-969-4350. The Titans have a bye week, and here's Terry McCormick from Main Street Media. You're going to see him a lot during this hour. Terry, what goes on during the bye week?
Well, they'll go back through and refresh themselves on some things that they've done wrong, and there's plenty of that. And then they will also get Malik Willis and Will Levis some much-needed reps with Ryan Tannehill out with that ankle injury. So this is an evaluation process, not only for those guys, but for the whole team to try and correct some things before they take a few days off and then come back next week getting ready to face the Atlanta Falcons.
Terry, is there anything new on the Tannehill front that we have really not covered?
No, not really. I mean, George, looks like it's a high ankle sprain, which is similar to what he had last year when he initially injured it against the Indianapolis Colts. So those things generally take a few weeks to heal up. So, unless he has some sort of miracle healing, I think the Titans are looking at probably playing at least the Falcons game and probably the Steelers game without him.
Yeah. Is your gut feeling that Vrabel waits until game time of the Falcons game, or does he announce his decision next Tuesday? What's your gut feeling?
He generally likes to keep as much under wraps as possible. He'll probably dangle the Tannehill carrot for a few days, but then if he goes all week and doesn't practice or is limited and can't go by Friday, then he will, probably say that Tannehill is out. But then I don't know if he's going to name Willis or Levis the starter for the Falcons even on that Friday, 48 hours before kickoff.
Yeah. Anything else before we get into the long discussion around 220 of where this franchise is headed? Anything else on your end?
Well, just that, this bye week is going to give them a chance to get a few people back. Traylon Burks and Tierre Tart, most notably, are probably the guys that will have a chance to get back on the practice field and be able to help them against the Falcons. And they can use both of those guys for sure.
Yeah. Okay, Terry, we'll check back in with you in about, 12, 13 minutes, and then we'll really get it going.
All right, sounds good.
As you can tell, it's going to be a full hour of Titans discussion, and Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady, and through the folks at USA Mortgage, it absolutely can happen. 615-969-4350. Let's head to Murfreesboro. Say hello to Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, how are you?
I'm great, George. How you doing?
Oh, it's just fabulous to have you with us.
Oh, is that right? You don't sound
Absolutely.
too enthusiastic about that.
No,
Sounds kind of
fake.
Yeah, it's very fake. You've got a little phoniness in you. There's no question. I just hope people that know you actually know that about you. I can spot that from a mile off. You're just
Right.
only.
So you like today's sweater, do you?
Well, it's not really a sweater. It's like a
Well, I mean, what would you want to call
1975 pullover. I mean, that was a year that they started making the pullovers. I'm sure the bottom where it's got some elasticity is already dry rotted.
it? Well, let me say this. First of all, it's not 1975. 95, maybe. Not
Okay.
75.
Okay, my bad. Missed it by 20 years. So
Yeah, I mean, what the heck? Couple of decades. Just a little more mothballs, that kind of thing. Billy, why are you laughing?
Just the mothballs.
Yeah, because he's going to turn it on you before it's over. Your
but
first screw up.
you give him reasons too.
Are you saying I goat it?
Well, if you come in here with a looks like a brand new polo, Kelly won't have much to say. But
that's right. I will not. I mean,
Right.
go to like Dillard's and buy something for. I mean, they've got good things on sale there every day, George. You can buy something for $9.99. That looks nice.
Who are you to be talking about anybody's wardrobe? What is this
Because
junk you wear?
Because this wardrobe I've got is nice.
Is it
Okay?
really? Yeah.
Absolutely. Don't hate the threads, dog. Don't hate them.
Okay.
Dumb and Dumber right
Mine
here.
are threads. Billy, is there an update in our future?
There is. We start.
Well, let's get on with it then.
With the Phillies last night. They beat the Diamondbacks 10-0.
That's last night's news.
They keep rolling.
Gosh.
God.
I mean, they are just rolling through.
The word
Just
is
rolling, dude.
steamroll.
And
Good
the
gracious.
D-backs don't look like much of a match at all.
They don't look like they want any part of it.
No.
They look like they took one look at the Braves and said, "Oh Lord, it's going to be even worse."
Yeah,
I mean-
we have no shot. That's what it looks like.
With the Phillies, once they got by the Braves, I mean, mentally, they're probably sitting there saying, we got by the toughest team.
Yeah,
We're
and there
probably
was
gonna...
no Dodgers in sight. I mean, the path was paved.
I mean, it was.
But it was also
clear.
paved for the Braves, and they chose
Do we
go
think
with a gravel driveway.
Do we think if the Phillies actually make it, can either one of the American League teams stack up? I mean, they look like Texas looks like they stack up pretty good. I mean, what is y'all's feeling on that?
I think the Rangers definitely stack up. I mean, right now the Rangers Phillies is your World Series right now.
Well, it feels that way. On the other hand, Houston's the one that's experienced at this, who has dealt with it, but there are no longer any trash cans. Hold on a second. With that in mind, hold on a minute.
Here we go.
See if
Why do you keep bringing up the trash cans?
Because it's a franchise, that has trash cans like this. Thank you.
Oh gosh, you don't talk about the Deflategate from New England. We're still not talking about that.
Well, what do you want me to say?
I mean, we're not talking about them going into the. We're not talking about them going into the locker room and trying to gather up playbooks from opposing teams. We're not talking about that. Why not?
Why don't you say it? You're the former player.
I'm not,
you got all the dope.
I'm not bitter about that. I mean, I'm not, but we're still talking about the garbage can from the Astros. I mean, let it go, George. Totally.
Well,
Terry McCormick's listening to this going, why the hell do I want to get in the middle of this?
What have I gotten into?
God.
Tonight, Astros-Rangers game 3. Texas leads 2-0, so they can go up 3-0 tonight. That one is in Arlington. Scherzer starting for the Rangers.
Okay, let me say this. I think it's really the Astros let me take that back. The Rangers have got to be really careful on Max Scherzer, because my gut feeling is he has rushed to get back to get himself into a World Series, and that's dangerous. If he doesn't have it, they got to yank him out quick.
So this is danger zone.
Well, it could be. On the other hand, I could see Max Scherzer go out there and be the ultimate bulldog in 7 innings and send the Rangers on to where they want to go, which is the World Series.
I mean, he might be the last piece for them.
He might be.
And he's been pretty darn good this year for him.
I mean, this is a first ballot Hall of Famer down the road.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Well, Kelly, the Blue Raiders are back in action last night. They lost a tough one up in Lynchburg. I didn't really get to watch much of it, but 42-35, that's a hell of a battle against a 7-0 Liberty team.
I was quite shocked, man. They put up a battle. I was wondering if Liberty was going to be able to stop them. They were, the kid was throwing the ball in the first half, and then he had some costly turnovers in the second half. Just can't have that. But you got to see the support that the Liberty Flames get in Lynchburg, Virginia. There was a lot of folks at that game.
It's a little bit different than what the Blue Raiders are getting. No offense to them.
Yeah,
it's sad.
That part, the home games on weeknights have not turned out the way I hoped they would.
Yeah, and Liberty, I mean, we've talked about Liberty. They're going to roll through Conference USA. They'll probably be, whether it's the ACC or the Big 12, I really do think they're going to be a Power 5 football team within the next 5 years. At some point,
I really believe that they got a really good coach. They got really good facilities, and they got a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, you think about them; they've got everything you need. They've got money, they've got facilities, they're in a great location. They've got a great head coach and great staff. I mean, and Hugh Freeze sort of started a lot of this, and now Chadwell's kind of taken over. So
I was shocked last night too how good they can run the football. They're number 2 in the country in running. Yeah, very physical, and they can run the football. And that little quarterback, he's a sophomore. He's kind of an elusive kid, and he throws it okay. He don't throw it too bad.
Well, speaking of throwing, WKU couldn't throw enough. They lost to Jacksonville State last night, 20-17.
Rich Rod.
Yeah,
Rich Rod.
Well, and Jacksonville State got trounced by Liberty last week, and now they come back and
what are they, like 6-2?
They're 6-2.
Yeah,
they are. Yeah,
good for them.
Similar to Liberty, they've put some money into that program. They've got a nice stadium in a great location. There's a lot of these Group of 5 schools that have sort of separated themselves from the pack. I think Jacksonville State's another one of them. How about this one? South Alabama, 55. Southern Miss, 3. Southern Miss is 1-6.
Dumpster fire.
They're a dumpster fire.
Okay. I've always thought
it has to have. I mean, Brett Favre's got to be proud.
He's got bigger problems with them
right now. He does have some bigger problems.
Right. But Will Hall, I've always thought was a good coach at Southern Miss, but they've really struggled this year. Let's go to the NFL. Colts. Anthony Richardson is going to have season-ending shoulder surgery. I think we knew, that was going to happen. He had an AC joint sprain against the Titans, so it is official. He's going to hop into surgery and not play the rest of the year. Would be my guess.
That's a shame, but hopefully, Kelly, he'll learn that you got to slide
and stay in the pocket. Learn how to play quarterback.
1, 2, 3, throw it out of bounds.
Throw it away, son.
That's the best line. All right, Deshaun Watson is not. He said he can't put a timeline on a return for him for his rotator cuff strain to his right throwing shoulder. A lot of throwing shoulder injuries this year in the NFL with guys that, I mean, if that's a throwing shoulder, you're not playing, or throwing hand. So a lot of injuries around the NFL. He said we just got to continue to take it day by day. But right now, who is their backup? Why can't I think of their backup?
It's that Walker kid that played last week.
PJ Walker.
I thought he looked pretty good.
Yeah, he did.
He made some mistakes, though. Good gracious. I wanted to strangle him at the end of the game when, they were going down for a field goal, and then Kevin Stefanski decided to call a naked, and he throws it in the middle of 3 guys, and it should have been picked. Crazy.
Yeah, there's kind of a ceiling for a guy like PJ Walker, but with this team, with how good that defense is, you just got to take care of the football if you're the Browns quarterback right now. Let's see here. We've got a college game tonight. I think, George, you've got a play on it. Let's see which one. We've got 2, actually.
Yes, I do.
FIU and Sam Houston at 6 o'clock, and then New Mexico State UTEP at 8 o'clock.
There are tickets available for both games.
That's at the Sun Bowl.
In fact, not only tickets.
Sections.
If you'd like to reserve the upper deck, you can have the whole thing.
Kelly, I know George has told me about games that he's broadcasted. I think North Texas was one of them where sections were available and the press box was not the best quality.
It was the older North Texas, not the one
older
North
Texas.
What's the fewest amount of fans you've ever played in front of, Kelly? Taking out high school.
The fewest amount of fans I've ever played probably was when we played Morehead State.
They have a football team?
Let's just say that excitement does not live there.
It doesn't mean more.
I did a game.
That's where Phil Simms played, big dog.
Phil Simms played at Morehead?
Yeah.
What?
Drafted number 1 by the Giants, dude.
You've got to know
grow up,
these
figure
things.
it out.
You've got to know these things.
Where's Morehead State been? Apparently, Phil Simms going there didn't.
Well,
really.
it didn't translate to future. I did a game at Duke when I was doing Georgia Tech games. We were up on the roof, and this was Duke before David Cutcliffe, and they had about 10,000 to start, but by the end there were less than 1,000 there, and I had no trouble getting my car and getting out of there.
It's not always a bad thing.
It was
that's the greatest when you get paid and then you can leave on time. It's awesome.
Boom. Destination Smashville.
It's not like when you leave Orchard Park in Buffalo, New York, and you have to get in line. You wait for like an hour and a half after the game. You shower, you do all the interviews, and then you leave, and then it still takes you 2 hours to get home. Stupid.
Not good.
You mentioned Smashville. Did it take you a while to get home after that one last night, George?
No, I left early. 6-1. And Edmonton has got 2 of the top 10 or 12 players
they've
in
killed
hockey.
The Preds.
Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. Try to spell that one. They're pretty good. Look, I'm not willing yet to push any panic buttons on the Preds. It's early. They're very young. They're going to get better. That's my story. And for now, I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, it'll take some time. I mean, I don't think anybody would you be surprised if they missed the playoffs this year?
No, look, it's going to be down to the wire most likely. But Barry Trotz has cleaned out some dead wood that needed to be cleaned out. This is going to be better. Yeah. I believe that.
Yeah.
By the way, he's going to join us tomorrow.
How about that?
Yeah. 2:20.
Trotz
be there.
That's all I got.
Okay, Terry McCormick is going to rejoin us. We'll talk about this fact. The Titans have lost 11 of their last 13 regular season games. And unless I'm missing something, that ain't very good. Stay tuned.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Okay, in a moment, Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, who covers the Titans on a daily basis, is going to join us. If you want to throw a question at Terry, Billy, how do they do that?
All they do, go to our YouTube stream or wherever you're watching it. You can fire away your questions. They pop up on my end here, so I'll be able to see them. We got one already for Terry. I think it's a good one.
I think it is too. Go ahead and put it up there.
So it's from Bill on YouTube, or actually Facebook. Bill asks, Terry, would 22, Derrick Henry, accept a trade deal to a Super Bowl contender needing a running back like the Bills, Eagles, etc.?
So, Terry, let me put this out here. Do you think that as they've sat at a table like this, the powers that be, does trading him right now ever come up?
Discussed internally. I think probably, what Mike Vrabel said the other day at the end of his press conference, that they're always looking for ways to build the team both now and in the future. I'm certain that they have bantered about a few names. Now, the question is this, and for some reason, in the NFL, draft picks are overvalued, and I don't know why. Because if they traded Derrick Henry right now to the Eagles or the Bills, where he's mentioned this, you'd probably get back in return a 5th-round pick in next year's draft.
Which is a joke.
Is the 150th best player in next year's draft worth trading Derrick Henry?
No.
It's not a very good return.
No, I'd tell them take the 5th-round pick and shove it.
Yeah. Whereas in other sports, in baseball, you may make bad trades, or basketball, you may make bad trades that come back and bite you, but generally it's value for value.
Speaking of the draft, we have gone back and put together a list of the 1st and 2nd round draft picks of the Titans over the last 5 years. You're going to see it there. And what you're going to discover, in my opinion, is the real reason why they are stuck in the position they're in right now. If you're being honest, you have to hit between 80 and 100% of your 1st-round draft picks. Once every 5 years, maybe you blow one. Okay, Titans certainly got Jeffrey Simmons right. They bombed on Isaiah Wilson. And to be honest, there were college coaches out there who were loudly saying, you don't pick him before the 3rd round. That ended up being a really dumb pick. Caleb Farley had all kinds of medical issues. That obviously has flamed out. For the moment, Treylon Burks, bless his heart, looks injury prone as a first-round draft pick. Up till now, it hasn't worked. Peter Skoronski, I think everybody is hopeful there. But, Terry, no matter how you slice it, three of the last 5 first-round draft picks, at least at the moment, have bombed.
No doubt about it, George. I mean, when you look and then you add in the second round picks, you've got a home run there in 2019 with Jeffrey Simmons and A.J. Brown. Of course, the problem is you no longer have A.J. Brown on the roster. They basically gave him away rather than trying to figure out a way to sign him to an extension. And then you look at the 2020 draft. I don't think Christian Fulton is going to be re-signed to an extension given how poorly he's performed this year. And then in the 2021 class, Dylan Radins has yet to crack the starting lineup. In the 2022 class, as you mentioned, Burks has been injury prone. Roger McCrary is a pretty good player, but do you really is it really value to have the second round be a nickelback? That's usually a later round pick. There's still hope for the 2023 class. I think Skoronski's off to a pretty good start. And who knows, we may get to see Will Levis come October 29th. So, that's not a real good hit ratio. And I think that's a big part of the reason they're in the dilemma that they're in right now.
It's really easy. And it's the thing to do right now to take the shot at John Robinson. Okay. He was the general manager. And I will grant you that it sure looked for all the world like Mike Vrabel had no idea that John Robinson was trading A.J. Brown. And why John Robinson did that without Vrabel knowing, your guess is as good as mine. I don't get that one. But Terry, I am hard-pressed to believe that all these draft picks that have bombed have been with Vrabel sitting in his office going, whatever they do is fine with me.
Yeah, I'm sure he went out, and went to bat for a few of these guys himself. Not every draft is entirely on the GM or entirely on the coach. The GM is the one who is running the draft, but certainly you want everybody unified and you want everybody on the same page when you make one of these picks. And so everybody has a little bit of culpability here.
Well, where I'm going with all that is at some point here, and I don't know, maybe it's happened, maybe it hasn't. It certainly is not for public knowledge at this point. Amy has got to sit down or has sat down with Vrabel and said, 11 out of 13, that sucks. Okay, what's your role in all this? And at some point, whether he does it for public consumption or not, he's either telling her, I had nothing to do with any of this, or here are the ones that I wanted, and you can grade them however you want to grade them. I mean, somewhere doesn't somebody have to be asking that?
Sure, absolutely. I think ownership has a right to know, where this franchise is going and what some of the decisions were that got them in the current predicament that they're in. Now, obviously, Amy Adams Strunk saw to it to fire John Robinson last December before the season ended. So she definitely, took Mike Vrabel's side in whatever conflict there might have been or might have existed there. But it's like I told you yesterday, George. It's sort of like an administration change in the White House or something. For the first X amount of months or whatever, you can blame the previous administration saying, we inherited a bad economy. We inherited this. We inherited that. But at some point, you're right, it becomes your problem to deal with and your problem to fix. And that's the challenge for Mike Vrabel and his staff right now. They've got to figure out a way to fix this before the blame starts being pointed entirely at them.
So we get to a decision that they never really wanted to have to get to right now, but because the offensive line allowed, for Ryan Tannehill to just get beat up, none of us should be shocked that he's hurt, and it doesn't look like he's going to play for a while. Terry, I don't think they have any choice in the decision. You cannot have a team that ends up 7-10 or whatever it might end up in kind of a malaise. And then you say, okay, what about the quarterback of the future? And your answer is, well, we never played him. We don't really know. If you're moving into a new dome stadium, you're trying to sell a younger audience on Titans football because there's an older audience that bought all these PSLs 25 years ago who has come to the realization that this is the dullest team in pro football. They're not likely to re-up. This is going to have to be a new wave of PSL holder that they're going to have to pawn all this off on. Don't they have to find out about Will Levis?
I absolutely agree with you, George. I think that you have to see what this kid has so that you know going forward what pieces you need to put around him if he's pretty good. And if he's not the answer, you need to find a quarterback from somewhere, whether that's going and getting another free agent, whether that's re-upping Ryan Tannehill, whether that's drafting another one. You've got to figure out something, and then, of course, there's still the Malik Willis factor in all this as well. Can he show enough improvement? He's improved some, but he didn't look nearly ready to handle the task of trying to lead them back against the Ravens Sunday in London. I mean, he had a couple of nice plays to start with, but then when he got down there after the Tajay Spears screen pass reception, 1st and goal at the 1, then all of a sudden he kind of panicked again, tried to make something out of nothing like he did at Liberty, and he got swarmed and couldn't even get out of bounds or throw the ball away. And those are the types of things that are a big mark against him in terms of the evaluation process and whether he needs to be your starter.
If I throw out the statement, the Titans coaching staff does not trust Malik Willis, is that true or false?
Well, I mean, they've trusted him enough to make him the number 2 quarterback, but I don't know if they trust him enough for the long haul, George. I would say that that's how I would answer that.
Okay, let me try this a different way. With Levis, it's hard to know a lot. The missing the weeks of training camp and the 2 preseason games, that was a big blow. And I remember the day of the Patriots game when we found out he wasn't going to play then, I thought it was a significant problem that was going to hurt him because he really couldn't show good, bad, or indifferent. If you had to speculate, what is it right now in the Titans coaching staff that either they don't trust him or mentally they have given up on him?
You're talking about on Levis?
Yeah, what's going on that has an outsider thinking that's a possibility?
Well, I don't think they've given up on him. They haven't even put him out there yet. One of the things I think that probably is consideration is they don't want to wreck him like they did Malik Willis by putting him out there before he's ready and putting him behind an offensive line that's terrible that could get him, just absolutely hammered before he ever gets his feet under him in the NFL. I mean, you go way, way back. You remember how it was for David Carr or how it was for Tim Couch coming in. They never really had a chance to prosper because they were on, such bad teams and bad offensive lines that couldn't protect them early in their career. So I think that if there's anything that keeps them from putting Levis out there, it might be that, George. Let me give you a stat. How many times do you think Ryan Tannehill has been sacked since the start of the 2021 season for 2+ years plus 1 playoff game? He's played in 36 of those games. How many?
120.
You're actually over 100.
Wow.
100.
That's a lot of stuff. Okay, Billy, you want to post another question for Terry?
Yeah, we got a good one from Scott on Facebook. He says, with the offensive line issues they have, would you really know what you have in Levis? He was a lot better at Kentucky when he had a better offensive line the year before the Titans took him.
Can't disagree with that. I mean, I can't disagree with the point he's making. You know, Levis looked really good his junior year when he had a good, solid supporting cast around him. Senior year, not so much. Kind of struggle with changes in the offense and the fact that the offensive line and the skill position players around him were not nearly as good. So I don't know that you would really know, but in that sense, you'd still be comparing him to the same, still be the same apples to apples equation as running Tannehill behind that line or running Willis behind that line, which you've already done.
But you realize a little of what you're saying here is that, and you may not be saying this, but this is the way it sounds. They're willing to get Malik Willis beat up in these mop-up things, but not willing to have that happen to Will Levis. Is that what you're saying?
It looks that way in a way. I mean, because they've already done that with Willis once, you know, but I mean, in fairness, Willis has, you know, he did look pretty decent in the preseason at times. He gave them a reason for them to have some hope in him. I don't, you know, but as far as Levis goes, if you've decided that he is your future, you know, I think you have to take a look at him, but the hesitancy might be, you know, trying to put him behind this offensive line. I mean, he has some mobility. He doesn't have nearly the mobility that Willis does to get out of harm's way.
Okay, we'll go to the break, and then when we come back, Kelly Holcomb, who has played the position for a long time, will join us. I want to hear where he goes with all of it. A little bit of the state of the union of our pro football team that has lost 11 of its last 13 in the regular season. Stay with us.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back in. A little bit of a State of the Union when it comes to the Titans. Terry McCormick, Main Street Media. He covers the team on a daily basis. This seemed like a good time with the bye week to get into some of this State of the Union kind of stuff. Kelly, what do you got for Terry?
Well, I just kind of want to make a statement because I like what the guy said about, putting him behind, talking about Will Levis, putting him behind an old line that's not very good. And you brought up Tim. Tim, I was there with Tim, and I was in that cesspool of not having guys to block. And then we finally got it right there at the end. We had Ryan Tucker, who'd been to a Super Bowl. We had a guy named Barry Stokes. Then we had Dave Wallabaugh, who got let go at the end of the year and won a championship with the St. Louis Rams. Then Sean O'Hara was our right guard. He gets let go. He goes and wins 2 Super Bowls with the New York Giants. And then we got Ross Purvis. So we kind of had it right. And then I was sitting here thinking during the break, it's not a funny deal, but it's really interesting to see that the decisions that people make in the front office, because a head coach and a general manager have to be on the same page. And I don't know how everybody's blaming this on John Robinson, and I'm sure that Mike Vrabel has put that on John Robinson too. But y'all alluded to it earlier, talking about coaches. Coaches know what they're going to draft. He's in that room. He's made, the GM's up here, but he's right next to the GM and they're talking. So, whether you want to blame it or not, I mean, Mike Vrabel's in this process. And right now you look at their roster and I don't know where they go with. I've said it for months now, and I know people are tired of hearing me say this, but who scares them outside? There's nobody outside. They had to go out and get DeAndre Hopkins, and he's a really good player. I mean, he's got a chance to maybe go into the Hall of Fame. He's a really good football player, but he's older now. And Traylon Burks just hadn't kind of panned out. Chris Moore has kind of come in, and he's done very well, but he's in concussion protocol. So I just don't know, where's the talent level right now, Terry? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they are certainly lacking playmakers. I mean, you go back and you look at where this team was 3 or 4 years ago when they had Derrick Henry running for 2,000 yards. They had a 1,000-yard receiver in A.J. Brown. They had another guy in Corey Davis who was close to 1,000 yards. They had a tight end in Jonnu Smith who was dangerous in the red zone. That's a lot of weapons. And they were able to protect Ryan Tannehill, and he was able to deliver, with a lot of good, solid throws. And this team won a lot of games. But Tannehill and Henry are the only ones of that group that's there. Plus, you've pretty much changed out the entire offensive line, and not necessarily for the better. And Kelly, I'll go you one better when you're talking about the draft and all. The Isaiah Wilson pick aside and the Dylan Radins pick, those were attempts to address the offensive line, but they've not really done a good job of replenishing with those 3rd, 4th, 5th round guys that take a year or so to develop and then move into that starting lineup. And that way you don't have to go and draft a right guard or sign a right guard or a center. So to me, they have not drafted well on the offensive line at all, even early or middle, because to my way of thinking, for the most part, offensive line is hard to fix through free agency. You can get a guy here or there, but by and large, the best offensive linemen don't often get to free agency unless they're a late cap cut by somebody. Most of the time, they're signed to extensions and they stick around if they can help protect your quarterback. And that's what the Titans, they've not had enough of those type of guys develop, and they've not had enough of those guys outside of Taylor Lewan and Ben Jones that they've been able to keep for a long period of time.
And I totally agree with that, because I used to tell people all the time when I was in Cleveland, he would always want to draft defensive linemen, and then we get some good offensive linemen come through and they don't get them. And I totally agree with that. So that's obviously somewhere where they've got to work on. And with the trade deadline coming up, Terry, do you see anything going on with that? I mean, is there anybody out there that they're thinking about? Is there anybody out there that they're talking about, or is that just kind of down the road?
I think it's a little down the road. I mean, to my way of thinking, this team would probably come near being sellers than buyers at the deadline, because you've got guys like Derrick Henry who could have some value to somebody, DeAndre Hopkins, Kevin Byard. Those type guys could have some value to some people. Maybe even a Sean Murphy Bunting or an Aziz Al-Shaair if you wanted to move on from them, being as they're on 1-year deals. So the thing of it is, they don't have a lot of assets to trade. And then if you get rid of those guys, how bad is it going to look if you trot your rookie quarterback out there? Then all of a sudden your Chicago Bears, Carolina Panthers bad, and you're contending you go from being a 6 or 7 win team to being about a 3-win team.
Let me ask you this. I don't know if I can word this right, but just looking at it, do you think Mike Vrabel kind of knew that that's what this year was going to be like? And he's probably, I know you can't put that out there and you can't present that to the fans because they want to have something to be excited about. But do you think, they drafted all offensive guys in the draft this past year? It's going to be a process, obviously, with Rand Carthon. Do you think that he's obviously told the owner of the team this, and that this might be a frustrating year for us? And if we can just get through it with Ryan Tannehill, we think we've got something with Will Levis. Do you think he's kind of operating in that landscape right now?
It's possible. It's possible he has told Amy Adams Strunk in the front office that, because let's face it, there were too many holes to fill in one off season. And what he said over in London the other day, where he said, some of their problems may not be correctable and fixable this year. That was a very telling statement. You don't often get that type of honesty from a coach talking about a team that's struggling. They usually try to find the silver lining, or at least offer that up to the media. But when he told the reporters gathered there that there were some things that this year might not be fixable, to me, that was a telltale sign that this ship is sinking for this season.
Okay, so let me ask you another tough question. And you're around it. I'm not around it, obviously, but I've been in situations like this where you get one side of the ball and they get frustrated with the other side of the ball. It seems like that they understand defensively that, and they're not the best defense in the league, but they're certainly not the worst defense. And they made some progress in that. I think they got some guys that can rush the passer. I think they got a pretty good front seven. We all have talked about their dismal secondary, but if you get rushed, you don't have to have a great secondary. But are you seeing kind of any sort of thing like that with like the offense upset at the defense upset at the offense because they can't move the football, and then kind of bickering back and forth? Hopefully that's not going on, but have you seen any case in that?
Seen anything like that outwardly or in the locker room or anything like that. But I do think that this offense knows they're not getting the job done. You can't score 15, 16 points a week and expect to compete in today's National Football League. You're going to lose, and that is, exactly what they've been doing here, Kelly. I'll give you a stat. They've gone 24 straight games without reaching 30 points in a game. The expansion Tampa Bay Buccaneers of 1976 and 77, which is generally regarded as the worst team of all time, went their first 26 games, all losses, by not scoring 30 points, and then they scored 30 in the 27th game. So they got 3 weeks, or they're going to surpass the Bucs in terms of not scoring 30 points. That is a telltale sign that there's a problem with this offense.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that this is fair to you either, but Mike Vrabel came in here. He's a defensive guy. We all knew the kind of offense he was going to run. He wants to keep things close, and that's one of the positives. The Stonehouse guy and Nick Folk are one of the positives on the team. They're pretty good, but is that not kind of getting old with everybody? I mean, it's kind of like the deal when Vrabel came in. That's kind of the way he wanted to play. But is that getting old to ownership, or maybe not? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not in it, so I don't know. I mean, they're really boring to watch, Terry. You know that. I mean, it's hard for me to watch it, and I know that most NFL games come down to that. But it seems like that's the philosophy of the head coach. Like, I mean, are other people seeing that, or are we just going with the same old, same old?
Oh, I'm sure everybody sees the fact that this team is dull as dirt. I mean, bad and boring is a terrible combination. I mean, if you're losing, I think the fans, and I'll just put this from a fan's perspective. You're losing, you'd rather see them lose 35-27 and lose 13-6. It just makes more. It just seems like they're at least a little more competitive if they're putting up points but they're maybe having trouble stopping people. This way, I mean, it's like pulling teeth for them to get a touchdown. It just really feels like that this team, is incapable unless they catch a break with a turnover or a punt return or a block kick or something. It just feels like that this team is doing all it can do to get to 16 points, and you can't compete in today's NFL like that. I mean, I'm sure Vrabel is well aware of that, but fixing it is certainly a much more challenging matter, it looks like.
So, Terry, you don't think they'll be busy at the trade deadline?
I mean, it's possible that they could move somebody, but I don't think they're going to be adding players. I think they need to add draft capital and start looking at, what they can do to better this team in the future. But like I said, the current players that they have, even Derrick Henry probably wouldn't fetch more than a middle round pick. And how much is that really going to help you when, if, from a PR standpoint, I'll throw this out there. From a PR standpoint, could you afford to trade off Derrick Henry, even if it's for the betterment of the franchise? Could you afford to trade Derrick Henry, knowing that if you brought him back next year, signed him to a 1-year deal, franchised him or whatever, if he's like 300 or 400 yards short of the franchise record, could you take that PR hit on a team that's not ready to contend?
Yeah, it's
and that's what this guy's saying here, Bill, on Facebook, Terry. He said, are we debating something that's not really possible or feasible right now for the Titans?
Well, like I said, I just don't think they'd get enough return for Henry. I think, if Henry wanted to go to a contender, if he said, I want to play for the Kansas City Chiefs and win a Super Bowl, I think the Titans might try to accommodate him there and say, okay, here you go.
Well, let me toss it back. Do you think he's getting tired of this?
I think he's probably tired of losing. He didn't do a whole lot of it in college, and he's done a whole lot of it here the last couple of years.
Yeah. Okay, let me try this one. So you got a murky quarterback situation, and you don't really know anything about the other two. You have enough body of work to not believe Willis is the answer. You don't have any body of work on Levis to have any thoughts. Is there a scenario where Ryan Tannehill's coming back next year?
If both of these guys prove not to be the answer, I guess it's possible. I mean, if I'm Ryan Tannehill, I'd have to weigh my options. For one, they'd have to improve the offensive line. For two, I mean, they'd have to get a whole lot better in order to be a contender. And for three, there'd have to be an opportunity, one that would make me want to play. He's 35, he'll be 36 years old. You wonder how much longer he wants to play. If an opportunity came for him to go reunite with Arthur Smith in Atlanta and that team was ready to win, I could see him maybe wanting to go there. He's going to have some options as to what he wants to do. It's going to be interesting to see if the Titans, want to figure him in their plans or if they want to go ahead and turn the page. And I guess We'll only know that once we see Willis and or Levis get a full shot and a full look at the job, at least in the interim.
What kind of money are we talking about?
For Tannehill?
Yeah.
My 1 or 2 year deal, probably for not a lot of money in terms of quarterback money.
But one place that he would probably be assured of being a starter, where there are not many assurances around the league of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Terry, I appreciate it as always. I don't know if we solved any problems. We certainly started a few.
Maybe we did, George.
Thanks. See you soon.
See you.
Terry McCormick with some pretty blunt assessments about what is going on with the Titans.
Dull as dirt.
He did say that, didn't he?
I liked it.
Yeah. I forgot to put the backdrop up there.
Yeah,
I'll do that during the break.
Is this some sort of gym shoe operation here?
Well, Kelly thinks it is. Yes.
Take your pullover off and use some tape and put it up there so we can have a backdrop.
I like that idea. We'll go to the break, and then we'll have stat of the day where we have excelled beyond belief.
There we go.
2 in a row, baby. 2, not one, but
it up,
2
Matthew.
in a row. We go for number 3, and then Danny Evans in the on-deck circle to talk about the hated Phillies. They're on fire. Oh, wow. God.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. So who said I can't be a golfer? Well, you know what? This is X Golf, located just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is fun. It'll improve your golf game, and you need to stop in and check it out. 8138 Sawyer Brown Road, and who knows, I may get to 200 before it's all over.
All right, I'm here with my buddy Chip Ward from Lincoln Home Loans. And Chip, it's football season, and it feels like it's moving season every time of the year, especially here in Nashville. Tell us about your business, Chip, and kind of introduce people to who you are and what you do here in the Nashville area.
Well, you're exactly right, Billy. It is definitely moving season, as it is most times, especially right here after Labor Day. Kids are back in school, and people are starting to think they want to get settled in before the holidays. And so what we are doing is right now we are getting a lot of people pre-approved for home loans. Inventory has ticked up a little bit. You know, it has been down, but it's rebounding a little bit. And right now is a good time to buy.
Chip, real quick before I let you go, tell people how they can reach you. And if someone is interested in your business, how would they reach out to you?
Well, sure. At Lincoln Home Loans, you can reach me at 615-500-7579. My URL for my application page is chipward.net, and my email address is simply chip@chipward.net. And so I'd love to hear from anybody. I can answer any questions about the whole home buying and financing process.
Top of the hour on a Wednesday. We're getting set to talk a little MLB playoffs with Danny Evans. But first, stat of the day, brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards out in Shelbyville. You can find them at 204 East Depot Street. They're open Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5 and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what we've got from Matthew today. And here we go. The Rangers are 2 wins away from making it to the World Series. Who was the last American League wildcard team to reach the World Series?
George, there you go.
Okay.
Sounds like Kelly's passing it off to you.
Yeah, I know that.
That's,
I noticed that.
Shocker.
Sorry.
Kelly,
Where's
thanks
Danny?
for your
Where's Danny?
Danny's
Danny
ready. Danny's ready.
Okay.
I'll guarantee
I mean,
he's got the answer.
He knows the answer. Let him do it.
Well, no, I want to try first. And Kelly, your attitude.
Good luck, George. I know it's
Clean it up. Clean it up.
Early white flag.
I'm saying it's the Cleveland Indians.
You mean Guardians?
Well, no, they were the Indians at the time.
Correct.
Indian Fever, Be a Believer.
Mm-hmm.
That was Darren McFarland used to always play that.
Always.
The Guardian Fever, it just doesn't have the same.
Doesn't register.
So let's bring Danny in here because he's probably got the right answer. Danny, how are you?
I'm good, George. Just finished a 2-hour Sabre meeting here in Denver with about 40 of my friends, and I think it's the junior circuit causing you the problem here, George. Am I correct?
Well, it's the American League. Who was the last American League wildcard team during the World Series?
But I'm saying that American League thing sometimes is a problem for you because that other league has your Atlanta Braves, right?
Yeah.
Is that the Boston Red Sox?
Let's put it up there.
Okay.
Let's see.
Danny is
no.
Ooh, wow.
Oh, that's right. I know. I let everybody down.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, the Royals. That's exactly right. And the following year, they beat us in the ALCS. So I know that team all too well.
Interesting. So now we bring Danny in where we know he's going to be right. We don't guess. We know I'm always wrong, but we know Danny most of the time is right. So, Danny, my team benefited 2 years ago from getting hot at the right time.
Yeah.
I've always said, if you had listed all those teams going into 2021 to the playoffs, the Braves would not have been in your top 5. Here's Philly, and also here's Texas getting hot at the right time. Would you buy that it's baseball and hockey more than the other two sports that are in postseason when it really matters? Who gets hot at the right time?
Yeah, and I would say the NCAA tournament, the basketball tournament, George. I was talking to a really good friend of mine, an athletic director, yesterday, and he compared it to all the great teams that come into the NCAA tournament and lose the first weekend, and you're shocked. And you just realize they weren't playing that well going in. I think in hockey, it's a goaltender. I mean, the goaltender wins a lot of Stanley Cup games for you. But I think in baseball, especially in a shorter series, it's just getting hot at the right time and having the right pitching lined up. I've thought about this a lot, George, and you and I, I think we talked about 3 weeks ago about how this was going to look. Well, that guy right there, Bruce Bochy, handles pitchers better than any manager in the current game. He's extraordinary. He's been great for 30 years. And Bochy, in a short series with a bullpen, is about as good as there can be. So when he went into the postseason, I didn't see the Rangers as a problem. I thought they were going to be good because I knew he would manage. But I think what we're seeing, and what we're seeing loud and clear, is what you said. Come in hot, stay hot. And the other part of it, George, and I think I was just as at fault, The Phillies had a bad first 5-6 weeks. From that point forward, they played straight up with Atlanta, one-loss record-wise. And I think the sum of the parts looked like a huge gap between the Phillies and some of the other division champions, when in fact the last 4 months of the season, they were as good as any team in the game. And I think we all get caught seeing these elite clubs and feeling they're elite, but they're not elite coming in. They're elite over a 6-month period. And I think what we've learned in the last 2 years is coming in hot means more than being a division champion. And more importantly, having your pitching come together at a time where you really need it to be elite.
Okay, I've always believed that in football, man, the home field is critical. I've seen behind me in that picture back here, this is a Predator playoff game in the run to the Stanley Cup final in 2017. I've seen what a home crowd can do in hockey. We've oftentimes diminished that in baseball and said home and away doesn't matter nearly as much. But I'm starting to think in this Philly deal that home means a ton.
It does. And George, as a baseball purist, it means sometimes the dimensions of the ballpark or how the ballpark plays. For instance, Dodger Stadium, is it's an elite pitching park. Take a look at Drysdale, Koufax, Claude Osteen, Kershaw through the years. Take a look at Coors Field. Take a look at any of the offensive ballparks. Philly's an offensive park, and that's an offensive team. And they've also just hit on all cylinders. They got a lot of guys hot at the right time. But I think what happens there, George, is different than a lot of ballparks. That is a really rough place to play. I mean, I joked about it last week, throwing batteries. I wasn't joking. They throw batteries. They scream. They yell. They yell at you when you get off the bus. When you're getting off the bus 4 hours before the game, and some guy is all riled up, that's an indication what it's going to be like at 7:07. And I think that's a hard place to play. But I think for the sport in general, home field advantage isn't as big a deal. And I find, and I know this will surprise some people, I find focus-wise, it's easier in the postseason to be on the road. You're not surrounded by as much distractions. You're not surrounded by as many things as you are as the home team. But I think when you go to Philly, you sure know you're in the enemy's lair.
So, Danny, I want to try this one on you because this has sort of hit me. So, last week, obviously, was a downer for a Braves fan. It's a downer for the entire Southeast that cares about that team. And there's sort of this belief that Philly's kind of got their number. And until they tear down that Berlin Wall, it's going to be a problem. So, is one of the solutions just to openly court free agent Aaron Nola under the you add and they subtract? If you're the Braves, are you doing that?
Oh, I'm at least driving up his number so they can't sign him. Or they can sign him. And, one of the greatest people in the game to do this, George, and Kelly, you'll appreciate this, Brian Cashman of the Yankees, does this as well as anybody. He drives the number up on you. So then, you sign him, but then you can't sign somebody else because you went too far. And I caught wind of that. And for the rest of my career, I subscribe to the same thing. Just talk it up, boy. I want this guy. Make the number high. But, George, you're also talking about kind of the mojo in the clubhouse. The Phillies have great mojo. I mean, it's really good. Rob Thompson does a great job with that team. But you notice how they're pretty good at just being themselves, and they celebrate and they shiver fist bumps, and they're nasty to each other. But I think it's because they're really good at being themselves. And I think one of the things that happens there, George, is for some reason the players in that dugout, they're more themselves than just about any other team. And as a result, the playoffs maybe not as difficult a challenge because they're not trying to mask who they are. So many guys in baseball try to mask who they are, and they don't want to get too excited. Well, everybody in the world knows you're excited. Just talk about it. It's okay. But for so many guys, they don't want you to know. But I think, George, there's also one thing. Dave Dombrowski, who runs the Phillies, is a future Hall of Famer. I started my career under him. He's extraordinary. I mean, he's one of the best people at putting personnel together in the modern era. Give him some credit for doing a heck of a job putting an extraordinary team on the field with character. I mean, we all see their character now. And when you see character in the postseason, it's uninhibited. And that's a culture that, very honestly, is very hard to find in the pro game.
So on the Texas side of this, is it just the addition of Bochy? I mean, it seems like he's a magic formula.
He is, but George, look at the people they added. They added Seager.
Yeah.
Seager has awesome matchups. Seager is a World Series champion. Simeon has some of the best makeup of any player in the game. They've added guys of great character, and what they've added in a manager who lets guys play. When you don't put the reins on good players, they tend to play better. And one thing about Bochy, and I just love him as a person, he's not full of himself, George. He was a backup catcher his whole career. This guy manages people, and I think many of us forget that what you're really doing is you're managing 26 guys, and you're managing expectations, and you're managing quotes and post and pregame stuff. And this guy's been there, done that, and he's just really good. Kudos to the Rangers and Chris Young for hiring the right guy. This guy makes a big difference, but they also have difference-making character people in that clubhouse.
So my team exits in kind of a fog, in disbelief that, it didn't go anything like what they hoped. What level of fog is the Dodger front office in with how they exited?
George, Dave Roberts, I'm very biased, is one of my favorite people in the sport. I've been around him a lot. I acquired him in a trade. I helped him prepare for his managerial interview. Dave Roberts has the best winning percentage of any manager in Major League history. He is the only manager with as many 100-win seasons. And George, nonetheless, there were questions about him coming back. That tells you expectations were so lofty. But George, think about what they didn't have. They didn't have a healthy Kershaw the second half of the season. They didn't have Urias because of his own indiscretions. They didn't have Buehler, who, the Vandy fans know, who to me was the best pitcher on the team last year. They didn't have Goslin because of injuries. Nonetheless, George, they won 100 games. That is a magnificent job. They went into the postseason at less than full throttle, and they got beat by a really good team. I think what we're seeing is the postseason is a bit of a crapshoot. And we have two different championships. We have the regular season, where depth is more important, star players don't dominate as much, and injuries happen. Suddenly now we have a race to the finish line. You got to win, 11 to 13 games to win the whole thing. That's a very different animal. And some teams are built better for the postseason than they are for the regular season. But here's the problem, George. When the trade deadline's August 1st, you got 2 months to go in the season. You don't know really what you're going to need the first week of October. So nobody really goes in thinking too much about the postseason. They're thinking more about getting to the postseason. And as a result, I think things are so out of whack right now. And I do have a way to fix it, George. I think the way to fix it is play 4 single game elimination wild card games and then make the first through the last round all best of 7. The best teams will prevail far more frequently, and it will penalize the teams who weren't as good as the 4 best teams in baseball.
I say Commissioner Danny Evans will rejoin us with Kelly Holcomb after the break. Please stick around.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Good day on the show as Danny Evans joins us from Colorado. Kelly Holcomb joins us now from Murfreesboro. Kelly, what do you got for Danny Evans?
Danny, I know you'll be happy, man. I've watched more baseball this past week than I have in 30 years of my life.
We do congratulate you.
We do, and it's good to be a part of the conversion.
Well, I know I'm having a hard time hearing you a little bit, but I'll get through it. But I know that George asked you, but is there a better home team or a home crowd than the Philadelphia Phillies? I mean, I'm sure there's other baseball parks out there, but like I've never seen the fans like that, the whole game standing up. I know it's October baseball, but they are absolutely nuts. I played in Veterans Stadium up there. Been to Lincoln Financial, but like, good gracious, these fans are crazy about the game of baseball and crazy about the Phillies.
They are crazy. And you know what, Kelly? They're proud of who they are. It's amazing there how loud it is early. You know, most places, late arriving crowd, 15 minutes before the game, pretty quiet. National anthem. All right, now we're going to ramp up. Philadelphia, they're wild 40 minutes before the game. It is nuts. And the proximity to the field, and Kelly, one of the really interesting parts about that ballpark, there's a lot of seating from foul pole to foul pole on the outside. So as a result, the outfield stands are really loud. And it's coming in towards you. And as a result, it's an intimidating place to play. But Kelly, in batting practice, man, they're all over you. The gate's open and, you know, the home team's done. The visiting team, you are getting grilled for an hour and a half. You're being called things you never heard. They're saying things about family members and teammates that you can't believe. And it's 2 hours before the game. And as what someone once said to me, you never forget that you're in Philly. It's a tough place to play, tough place to live, candidly. But Kelly, oh my God, those fans embrace that you don't like playing there. So they'll do things, Kelly, like they'll call your room at 2 a.m. They have radio stations that will call the visiting players in midnight or at 6 a.m. and they're notorious for it. So everybody in baseball who comes to Philadelphia registers in a pseudonym or else you have no chance at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I've been in places like that, man. It reminds me of a football stadium. There's no question with the rowdy fans. But have you ever seen a team like them? I think they've hit 16 home runs in 5 games. I mean, you see like the Reggie Jacksons of the world, or, you know, you see guys that individually get on a hot streak. But have you ever seen a team like this get on such a streak of hitting like they have? Like there's no weakness in that lineup at all.
No, Kelly, we never have as a game. We've never seen this in the ALCS, NLCS. We've never seen anything like this. And, you know, you can't count on hitting to carry you. But they are right now. And to go along with it, their pitching's been outstanding. You know, in the same case, you know, Texas has swung the bat really well at the same time. They haven't lost a game. So I think what we're looking at is a potential series with a couple of locomotives on the same track. The World Series could be amazing because we're seeing 2 clubs coming in cocky. And I'll be honest, Kelly, I hope there's a couple of losses in both LCSs. Otherwise, we're going to have 5-6 days off, and that could squelch some of the offense in both on both squads in a World Series.
Got you. So Max Scherzer is starting tonight for the Texas Rangers, correct? And he's been injured. Am I not mistaken, right?
That's correct. I love it. I love it. You're all over this, Kelly. This is great.
So let me ask you this: as a manager, I mean, does he have a short leash, or you're up 2-0 and you want to get him some work? How does that come into effect? I mean, I know that, obviously you want to win this game, and they're going back home, right? Are they going back to they're going back to Dallas, right?
Yes, they are.
So
Arlington.
Arlington. Sorry. So I mean, does he have more of a? Can he stay in if he struggles a little bit since you're up 2-0, or how do you do that as a manager?
Tough. Great question. You're up 2-0. You don't want to be 2-1. You'd love to be 3-zip. You're going to trust this guy, but Bochy and he don't go back that far. So it's not like they've, got 10 years together. This guy's kind of in an unknown area. You don't know what he's going to be like tonight. We don't know how his velocity is going to be. One thing, Kelly, and you've played with guys like him, he is an immensely great competitor. I mean, this guy, I saw him in college, and I couldn't believe at the University of Missouri on a 28-degree night what he was like. He was just like a menace to the other club. But I think when you're up 2-0, it's different than down 2-0. He might work with them a little bit. I think you're going to see a lot of communication between him, the pitching coach, the catcher, and the manager. But here's where a veteran guy like Bruce Bochy is invaluable. He's not going to be intimidated by Scherzer. He's got plenty of jewelry. He knows his ring size. He loves Max. The fact that he's back in the postseason pitching when he hasn't pitched for more than a month is a statement about their medical staff and also a statement about Scherzer. But Kelly, you and I and George and the listeners, we don't really know what's going on with him physically. They might have a self-imposed cap on pitches. They're not going to tell anybody because why should they? You would. This sounds like lower body injury in hockey. You're not going to really say what's going on. But I think what you're going to see with them up 2-0 is a little bit more leash than ordinary, but also they're going to go for the juggler and try to win game 3 tonight, because if they can, the chances of getting to the series are fabulous.
So George even talked about it earlier. I mean, do you think he's coming back too early? I mean, I know you just talked about the trainers. All the coaches have talked about it. Bruce Bochy's talked about it. I'm sure he's evaluated him, looked at him. But, like, if I'm in that situation, I want to pitch, I want to get our team to try to go to the World Series. So if you ask me to be up front with you, if I'm hurting a little bit, I mean, if I got a chance to pitch, I'm not going to tell you that I'm hurting, So that's obviously a trainer and the head coach. They've got to look at that. But do you think he's coming back too early?
Kelly, you brought up a fabulous point, and that's from being on the field. You're going to come in, if you're Max Scherzer, I'm fine, let's go. Yeah. It's up to the medical people, the pitching coach, and the manager to decipher what's real, what's bravado, and what's Max Scherzer that's going to get Max Scherzer into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. And I respect Scherzer immensely. He is a phenomenal competitor. I love the fact that he wanted the ball. But Kelly, here's something else to think about. If you're the Rangers, you traded for this guy, and you traded pretty big to get him. You'd love to have this guy on the mound on October 18th, win a ball game, and go out and give you a chance to win another game in the World Series. I mean, that's huge. You can't put a price tag on tonight's win. But what you're not going to get is full disclosure, and I don't blame him because I don't think I would either. But I think what you have here is a veteran trainer, a veteran pitching coach, and a veteran manager. They don't get BS'd quite as well. And in Scherzer's case, he's an enormous competitor. I think he's going to pour it out there from the first pitch of the game. Let's look at what the velocity is, pitch 1, 2, and 3. If you see something in the mid-90s, it's got to be a pretty good situation for the Rangers and Scherzer. If you don't see that, remember when we saw Kershaw 10 days ago, we saw 87, 88, and I know what I was thinking. I was going, oh, my God, one of my favorite guys ever is not right. This is not good. You'll know early between the adrenaline and just the chance to win and being back. He's going to be amped up. We'll see everything we need to see in the first inning.
Gotcha. So this is my last question. I don't know kind of how to word this, but it's kind of a fundamental question. Like, we know that they're trying to speed the game up. The pitch clock worked. I'm just not a huge fan of the 2 throws over to first. And then you got to wait for another batter, because is that giving the offense a huge advantage? And I think the Phillies used it against the Atlanta Braves. I mean, they stole a bunch of bases, but like, do you like that where they only can go over, 2 times during one batter and then another batter ups and it starts back over? Do you like that?
I do, Kelly. I love the running game. I think it's a great athletic part of the game. Teams stole bases at a higher percentage than any other season in the history of the game this year, 80%. So it's added a complexity to the game. It's added athleticism. Players like Acuna have really changed the way the game looks in 2023. So I do like it. You have to be strategic in your throwovers, but I also think some pitchers are just not very good at it. It all comes down to quickness to the plate, the arm of the catcher, and the release. But, Kelly, I just love the pace. Games are being played in the postseason at about 2 hours and 55 minutes. And the only reason for the added time from the regular season, which was down about 28 minutes this year, is because of the additional commercials in the postseason. I love the pace of the play in the postseason. And, for me, if we have to give up something in defense and we give up more offense from a stolen base perspective, I actually love it.
There you go. Hey, if you're George, one more. If you're 0-2 right now, what are you telling your team?
Well, I've been 0-2 a few times, and the managers who resonated better is let's just win one game at a time. Because what you got to do, and the manager has to show it, he's got to manage, Kelly, tonight differently than he's managed in the past. And that sends a message to the players that we're trying to do everything we can about winning tonight. We'll worry about tomorrow. And as a result, there's a sense of urgency in the dugout, because down 3-0, you're done. I mean, you're done.
Done.
Down 2-1, you got a shot. You got 2 more games in the enemy's ballpark. You got a chance to do really well.
Okay, I got a couple of questions before we end this.
Yeah. And George, by the way, I'm not driving, so don't worry, okay?
Good. Good. Is Adam Wainwright a Hall of Famer?
No, not for me, but he's close. I just don't think he has enough resume, even in today's game, but I think he's really darn good.
Yes.
To me, he's the Hall of Very Good, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just think there's a difference between him and some of the other guys, and I could be proven wrong, but from a statistical standpoint, I think he falls just short.
What do you think's going on between Max Fried and the Braves about an extension?
Well, Max Fried is in the driver's seat on this one, George. He's a starting pitcher. He's left-handed. He's young. He's athletic, and he's an elite arm. He's represented by great people at CAA. Max, I'm sure, knowing him, he's not afraid of what could be in free agency. But I think when the player gets to this point where he's a year away from free agency, he's in a real delicate spot where he knows there's a big bounty at the end of the rainbow, and it's only a year or so away. But there's also security, and there's a fear of injury. And if you're the Braves, I think he's a 5-year player at the end of this year. In arbitration, he can compare himself to any player. So his 5-year single-season salary is going to be comparable to a lot of free agent signings. It's just a quirk in the basic agreement. For me, Max Fried's the kind of guy you want to build around for a franchise that does a great job keeping their own players. But in Max's case, he could be an enormously compensated free agent. It's just a matter of what do you want to do.
Danny, in about 10 days, I'm doing kind of a Q&A that'll probably be 45 minutes to an hour with the legendary Cincinnati Reds catcher, Johnny Bench.
Awesome.
Have we ever in my lifetime seen anybody that even approaches him.
Not for me, George. The combination of offense, power, and defensive skills. He walked in as a 19, 20-year-old into the Big Red Machine and made them the Big Red Machine. You know, throwing 40 bombs on the board, having a howitzer for a right arm, a great defender. His durability, George, was extraordinary at a time where the DH did not exist in the National League. So taking his bat out of the lineup was enormous. But I think what Bench did is came in and was elite, as very few guys have ever been. But I've never seen a better catcher in my time in the game, George. And, you know, when he came in, I think it was 68 or 69 with the Reds.
Right.
He came on and he was elite offensively. He was an RBI guy, middle of the order, bat with power, and an elite defender who also revolutionized the game by catching one-handed and keeping his meat hand behind him to get just a single hinge glove changed the way the game is caught today.
So he's the first you ever saw go like this?
Yes. Yes,
Wow.
he is.
Okay.
Yes, he
Well,
is.
I got to talk to him about that.
Yeah, and you know, it ended up elongating his career. But George, what we're talking about is an inner circle Hall of Famer. But also, George, what I love about him, oh my God, does he love the game. He came to the Field of Dreams game 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, between the Cubbies and the Reds, and sat in the stands and loved every minute of it. And Frank Thomas and I were sitting next to each other, and Frank goes, you know what I love? Because I love the fact that he loves being in the crowd for this game.
Yeah.
And that's who Johnny Bench is. Johnny Bench, one hell of a great player and an even better guy and a great guy among Hall of Famers. He's a great communicator, great as far as interacting with fellow Hall of Famers. Immense respect from me to Johnny Bench.
Okay. Well said. Danny, great stuff as always. Appreciate it.
Love you, George. We'll see you next week.
Go, I was going to say go Blackhawks. But
You don't really mean it, though, George.
No,
You don't mean it.
Go Preds.
You don't mean it, but my boys are a lot better in 2023.
I know they are. I know they are. Time will tell on my team.
I'm going to come visit, and you're not going to like watching my team as much anymore.
Oh, I know. Playtime is over.
And don't tell Kelly that the baseball season ends in a few weeks, George. Just don't let him in on that secret.
Yeah, because he doesn't know when it ends one way or the other.
Bye, guys.
George. See ya.
Okay, we'll go to the break and then plaster bet of the day.
Low
Yeah, it was low blow.
Yeah, he's always thinking low blows, dude. That's okay. I'll get him back.
Stay tuned. We're coming back.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303. Or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Final segment on a Wednesday. We've got some more midweek college football tonight. We've got Game 3 between the Astros and Rangers. No Preds tonight. Preds got tomorrow night, George?
Tomorrow night in New York against the Rangers.
Ooh.
Look, it was going to be a tough start.
This is a tough start.
You remember when Andrew Brunette laughed when I said, who did Barry piss off at the league?
No, they know it.
To get you all this schedule?
That was funny, but we'll see. So the Preds are in action tomorrow night. We'll see where George is going tonight. It's time for Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. Let's check out what happened last night, and the Preds got walloped.
They did.
And we've talked about that.
Edmonton pretty much showed them who daddy was.
Mm-hmm.
So we move on very quickly. We gloss over the loss, and we get to New Mexico State tonight. Kelly, do you know who their starting quarterback is?
I wouldn't have a clue.
Well, I'm here to tell you.
He's probably a guy that's been at a big school and went to New Mexico State. Is that correct?
I don't think so.
Oh, really?
His name is Diego Pavia.
Oh, I've heard
No,
He's pretty good.
I don't be knowing him.
I think he will be the difference in the game. UTEP a week ago was able to line up and just push FIU around with their running game. I don't think they're going to be able to do that with New Mexico State. Now, look, it's not like I know a ton about New Mexico State, but you remember the guy at Minnesota, Jerry Kill?
Yeah.
The head coach who had all the health issues.
Yeah.
those appear to have at least subsided enough where he's been able to come over to New Mexico State. They look to me to be considerably better than they have been.
Okay. I went to a New Mexico State game at Ole Miss, and I had to leave after the second quarter. That was the worst team I'd ever seen.
Yeah, they haven't necessarily been the 85 Bears the last several years.
No, or the 27 Yankees or the 66 Packers.
Neither has UTEP.
No, they have not been. So that's our play tonight. Tomorrow on the show, Predators general manager Barry Trotz will join us. Got some things to talk to him about. It's been a tough start at 1-3, but you knew with who they were playing that it was going to be very difficult to get going early. Then, underdog picks at 3 o'clock. Let me just say, for my purposes, thanks, Memphis, for blowing a double-digit lead.
I'll say the same thing. Thanks, Michigan State, for blowing a double-digit lead.
Talk about a bad start to a season.
Oh,
I mean, this underdog picks has been awful.
The word is rancid.
Billy?
Rancid
Billy, once again, we don't need your opinion. You're just the commissioner. Okay?
What did Boots say? Son, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
I don't remember Coach Donnelly ever saying that, son.
I don't either.
Who did you say said that? You said somebody said that or would tell you
know.
that all the time.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Billy, I think you're just making something up. You're trying to get more fans in your Twitter box, dude.
Twitter box.
Kelly, behave until tomorrow.
See y'all.
Billy, just try to behave, period.
All right.
And the rest of you, all we ask is that you join us on Thursday. See you then.